All right, so good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. This is Twist Gaming, where you get to play board games with us. We are coming to you live here from the GAMA Expo in Reno, Nevada, from the Peppermill Resort. Very nice here. Bring you all the board game coverage, all the cool stuff from throughout the con. But let's get some introductions out of the way. First up, I'm Matt, and I am joined here with John and Kay from AEG. How you guys doing today?
Hello. Hi. Good.
Just good, not great.
Great.
You had your Frosted Flakes this
Great.
morning?
Good. We were setting up the booth today, so that was great.
Yeah, you know. It's a con. It's tiring. That's how it goes. So there's some big boxes and then some average-sized boxes on the table. But let's jump into the meat and potatoes of things here. So what do you have to show off for us today?
So we got three things, and I'm going to start with Space Base.
Oh, no, board cam. There we go. Board cam's
So I'm going to start with Space Base. This one, so in this game, you're Commodores attempting to have the best space base. And my favorite way to teach this game is to just go, and just play it, right? So I've set up enough for one player to play. So we're gonna pretend like you're the player.
So how many players is it?
Oh yeah, so high level stuff. This is plays 2 to 5 players.
Okay.
It doesn't frequently go over an hour, so it's usually half hour to maybe an hour 15. And it's a dice-driven engine builder.
Okay, so the main mechanism here is I'm chucking dice.
That's right. So your turn. Roll some dice.
Okay, let me roll. I'll roll it over here. See if it shows up. So I got a 5 and a rocket ship.
What's 5 and a rocket ship. Great.
What's a rocket ship?
So rocket ship's a 1.
Oh.
When you roll, so you get to decide if you want to use the individual dice or the sum of the dice, right? So if this was your player board, you could get the 1 money for the 1. You could get this action for the 5, which would actually put a cube on there.
Okay.
Or you could get a 6, which would be 1 money. So in this case, you want to take the 1 and the 5, right?
Sure.
And when you get the 1 money, you push your money cube up by 1. And then you get to buy a new card. Can we see all of this with the camera?
I can see
Okay.
kind of zoomed out aspect of it.
So this zone is like the tableaus of things you can buy. So they go from cheap and not expensive to expensive and powerful in the higher rank up here. So you would now have 3 currency with which to buy a new advancement.
Right.
So you, for example, you're able to buy some things in the cheap level here, right?
Okay, so I'm not exactly wealthy right now.
No, you're building up the engine right now. So maybe you want to buy this card, right? So you would spend your 3. Right? And now this card.
Let's show this off in the camera there. We can see what it actually is. And the
green
screen.
Green screen's blanking out a little of the ship.
It's a green ship there. So the top left is our 3. That is the cost of the card. And then the top right we have a 7.
That's right. And the top right is the 7. So that is that's the position on the board that it's going to go in.
Okay.
So we're going to put this card in spot number 7. It's going to replace the card that was already there. The card that was already there flips upside down and tucks under the board.
Okay, so what does that do when it goes tucked underneath the board?
Your turn is now over, and now it's my turn. On my turn, I'm going to roll dice. I roll a 3 and a 5.
Right.
Okay? So I'm going to do the same thing you did over on my end, where I get stuff. However, all other players get to use the dice also on their turn.
Oh.
But the things you get to use with the dice are the things above your board. So I've rolled a 3 and a 5. So you can do either a 3, which gets you nothing, a 5, and a 5, which gets you 1 money, or you could do an 8, which in this case gets you nothing.
Okay.
So you would do the 3 and the 5, and you get 1 money. So everybody's turn, you're paying attention to whether people are rolling and getting stuff. And as the game progresses,
that's this bottom icon here. So we've got money, we've got the little rocket ships
these
here.
These are victory points. The little rocket ships are victory points. Yep. And as the game progresses, every new card you're buying flips another card up. So the amount of stuff you're getting on other people's turns is building, and that's actually where a lot of your strategy comes in, is how you want to synergize the stuff you get on other people's rolls. So, and some other effects in the game. So like this one is a charge effect. So like I said, when you rolled the 5, you got to put a charge cube on it.
Right.
That's now an ability you're able to use when you choose to. Because you can spend that charge cube to pop the ability.
And what's the ability on that one there?
In this case, the ability says, whatever the sum of the dice is, you can take 1 higher than that. So an example would be, I'll pull out, so this is a really strong card that goes in your 10 slot.
Okay.
So this card says...
This will be another lovely green screen there.
Yeah, this card says claim 2 level 2 cards. Right?
Oh, okay.
So you might have this card in your 10 spot, right? Maybe you bought this. Now 10 is not the most likely number to roll, number to roll, right? But if you were to roll a 9 with your dice, you could then spend this charge cube to get the 10 instead. And if you had multiple of those, you get more flexibility with your dice. You have a little bit more control. So there's a few ways you can play. You can play where you just buy a bunch of low number stuff and you guarantee you're always going to hit something, right? Or you could buy really high numbered cards. They're risky, they're less likely, and then maybe you buy some stuff that gives you better odds of hitting them. And the strategy in the game is all about the synergy of the board, and it's a super fast game. You're paying attention to everyone's turn because you're usually getting stuff on other people's turns.
So you're not sitting there not engaged with the game on other people's turns.
The game has a really fast pace, and you're sort of always engaged in it, and it's all about synergizing your personal tableau engine in a way that makes the most sense.
Very cool.
Yep.
So as the game goes on and we have multiple things being triggered within this, do you only choose one of those actions, or is it everything down the line?
If you were to buy, I don't see another 5 out here, but let's say, oh, here's one. Great. So you buy another 5, it would replace this card, which would then stack, and now you have 2 effects that you get on a 5.
Oh, so things can get pretty hectic.
Oh, yeah. So you can build up. So this card, if you would buy this goes in your 11 slot, and you'll note this has... It's going to be super green screeny.
Yep.
But this has those arrow/arrow.
Yeah.
So that means, and note it's an 11 card. So that means whenever this card gets rolled, you can use the effect of either the 9 or the 12. Or sorry, the 10 or the 12 instead. So this makes your 10, this awesome 10 card that I have, even more likely to be rolled.
Gotcha. So it doesn't have an inherent effect when you land on it, but it allows you to jump over in either direction and do what those do.
Let's see if this one's out here. Great. So this one...
More green screen goodness.
Yep, for sure. This one has a charge effect that takes multiple cubes to charge. But once you have enough, you can pop it. And the abilities here says swap your 2 and 11 sector cards. So that means you would take everything in the 11 sector and swap it with everything in the 2 sector.
Oh, so it's all of a sudden a lot easier.
So you build up the 11 cards, which are all really powerful because they're rare to hit.
Right.
Swap them into the 2 spot, which you can hit with a single die, and it comes up frequently, right? But this takes some investment. I mean, you got to get multiple cubes on it, and it's a 10 zone to begin with. So there's ways to like sort of plan to try to get a big big move mid game to start getting points. And ultimately, the game is a race game. So this little blue cube over here is your victory points, and we're basically racing to 40 points.
Oh, okay.
And you can play a game where you get I'm going to get cards that give me little points, and I'll steadily get points the whole game and see if I can outpace them. And other people, I watched a game be played last week where one guy was at 0 points the whole game. He was just building his end and building his end and building his end. And then in one round went from 0 to 40 and won the game.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So
that's a you move, Josh. That's a Josh move for sure.
And the other guy had been steadily getting points, and he was at like 38.
Oh, man. Oh,
so that kind of stuff happens all the time.
That's a table flip moment in the best way possible.
Yeah. So that's Space Base.
So where can we find Space Base?
So Space Base will be out in April, mid-April, and should be online, retail stores. Yep.
Very cool.
This has a price point of MSRP of $39.
Nice. And this supports, again, how many players?
2 to 5 players.
2 to 5 players.
Yep.
Very cool. So that is Space Base. There's a very large box.
I'm going to pack it up.
Is that what you're going for next? Is the big box, or
let's do Mystic Vale next.
Okay.
The big box Mystic Vale. Yeah.
That might be the thickest box that I've seen. That's pretty good.
That's what we like to hear.
You know you're getting content. That's for sure, right?
So this is for Mystic Vale fans, if you couldn't guess.
So this is Mystic Vale Conclave. What is Mystic Vale Conclave?
So, are you familiar with Mystic Vale?
Personally, I haven't played it yet.
Okay, so the core concept of Mystic Vale is card crafting, right? Where the cards in the game start in sleeves. It's a deck builder, but your deck never grows or shrinks in size. The cards all start in sleeves, and you have 20 cards. And rather than adding or subtracting cards to your deck to make it better, you're actually adding transparent slips to the cards to improve the cards themselves.
You did get to play Darkness with us, but you play custom heroes.
Oh, okay,
yes.
awesome. Okay,
yes.
So that's another card crafting game, and then the next card crafting game is currently on Kickstarter, which is Edge of Darkness, which you guys got to play.
Correct. Yeah, I wasn't around for that stream.
Yep. So we have the base game of Mystic Vale came out in 2016. And since then, we've released 3 small box expansions, which are just additional content to the game. So this is meant to carry the base game, all expansions, and future expansions.
So this is the compendium.
This is the mega box for everything. If you're a big Mystic Vale fan and you want to put it all in one box.
Very cool.
It's not just an empty box of air, though. It does have some content in it. And my personal favorite part of so it has a few like additional just things that make the game easier to play or gives you different modes to play. This particular piece is my favorite. So this is what we call the day-night system. And I don't have Mystic Vale or the time to set it all up, but I'll explain it briefly. So these boards, this won't make any sense to people who haven't played Mystic Vale. So I'm gonna, and it will take too long to teach Mystic Vale in addition. So I'm gonna explain, assuming the people who have played Mystic Vale are the ones listening. So in Mystic Vale, you have like a buy zone, right, where you get to buy new advancements to add to your cards, right? What the day-night system does that comes in Conclave is it creates. You actually have two buy zones. You have a night buy zone marked by this board, right, on this side, and you have a day buy zone over here. And both of those look like the base, just single buy zone. So it's basically two of them. Doubling up. What we've got is two additional decks that come in this box. So now you can play up to 6 players.
Very cool.
So the big concern, of course, there is, well, doesn't that slow the game down, right? We now have,
more people
that many more turns to wait for your turn. So what the day-night system does is it introduces basically a system. Where are those tokens? So there's a token representing the day active and waiting turn and the night active and waiting turn.
So let me show that off over here. Oh, look at that. Green screen's a little. That's yellow. Waiting day, active night.
The night one shows up a little better.
Waiting night. They look. So, the night one shows up a little bit better. You don't have as much green in that one. Green and yellow.
Okay, so what happens is basically one player gets the day token, one player gets the night token, and they each can take a turn simultaneously.
Oh.
When they buy things, the night player can only buy from the night buy zone, and the day player can only buy from the day buy zone.
Okay.
Right? And then when you're done your turn, you pass the token. So there's 2 turn tokens going around the table at once. So basically, the pace of a 6-player game
is the same as a 3-player game.
Similar to a 3-player game.
Very cool.
It takes up a lot of table space. So we have an alternate version in here that works slightly differently and takes up a little less table space if you don't have the table for it. But if you do have the table for it, it means you can play up to 6 players, and it's still the sort of same snappy gameplay.
That's really cool that you took into account the fact that table real estate is, an important factor in games like this, because there's a lot of times where I've gone to play a big, heavy game, and it's hanging off the edge of the table, and it just feels very cumbersome.
Tell me about
it. Just that little bit of taking that into account goes a long way in my eyes.
Yeah, we did something similar with Edge of Darkness, where we were like, this game looks beautiful, but when you do the full setup, it takes a lot of table space. So we've got a modular thing in there to help with that also. So a few other things that you get in this box. You get dividers. So this will help you. We actually have 3 sets of dividers. So we have 3 sets of level 1, 2, and 3 advancements and level 1 and 2 veils. So you can use these to divide it up. But we actually have 3 sets of them. So you can curate 3 different setups of effects that you want and play a different type of game with it. Then we actually do something along those lines as well, which is what we call the conclaves, which are these cards. So this is really going to green screen bad.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. Yeah, that's not too bad.
Okay, so the conclave cards, so they show veils on one side and advancements on the other, and you can sort your cards by these card types in the box. And then what you do is when you play, you pick. You can pick random or choose 6 conclaves, these packets of cards, to mix into one play set, and it gives you sort of that variety. So you can either just mix everything together like what you would currently do.
Right.
This gives you the ability to say we're going to make this subset of cards into a set, and then you have to sort of explore and figure out what the strategy is with this set of cards.
That's pretty awesome. I like that.
So it's another just approach to play the game. What do we got? Yes, so this is a player aid that we added. So one of the complaints with Mystic Vale was that it was a little hard to track your veil. Oh, wow, that green screen is epically. Let's see what this looks like.
The purple one should probably
purple one looks great.
Yeah,
all right, let's go with the purple one. So this helps you track your veil icons if you have a bunch of them. So later in the game, if you play Mystic Vale, if you have a really big field, you have a lot of icons, and sometimes it's hard to keep track of which ones you may have spent to buy a veil card and what you have left. So this means if you can count up all your, and these are wilds, right? So if you have 3 wilds, you set it to 3, and then you might have a certain number of another symbol, and you can set that one to that. And then as you buy something, okay, I spent 2 of my wilds, now I have 1 left, and it just helps you sort of track that. So it's just a little player aid to help. And then there's one other piece in here. This is an entirely modular option that people can play with if they want to. These are called totems.
Okay.
And these are like every one of these cards is broken, right? So if it's all broken, nothing's broken, sort of, right? And the idea here is this is modular. If you want to play with them, you can. And they give players a huge, powerful ability at the start of the game.
But no harm, no foul if you want to leave them out, then.
Yes, of course.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So if you want to try a game where everyone starts with a super powerful ability at the beginning of the game, it makes the game faster, right? Because you're going to jump right into the powerful effects earlier.
Right.
Some of these can almost make you skip the level ones at the beginning of the game.
Oh, wow.
So it makes for a faster game and gives sort of a different experience of having some super broken ability right off the bat.
Beefed up character right off the bat, right?
You know, if you don't like them, don't play with them. There's like 12 of them in the box, and it's just another module type of play experience you can.
A little more customization to how you play your game.
So that's Conclave. Like I said, it's got more than enough box space for everything that we've so far released and the stuff we're planning on releasing. And it also comes with the day-night system, which is my favorite part. The conclaves to give you variety in the setups you want to try, and then player aid tokens for the Vale symbols, and the totems for just another module if you want to try with that.
So where can we find Conclave?
So Conclave has basically the same release schedule currently as Space Base, so it's coming out in mid-April. It should be through the same retail channels.
So keep your eyes peeled.
Yep, and this one has a $49 price tag for MSRP.
And real estate of that much. It's
a fat box. Actually, there's one other piece that comes in here that I forgot about. It comes with an additional hunk bag worth of card sleeves.
Oh, okay.
So if you're tearing sleeves and you're low on them, or you just want more Taro-sized premium card sleeves, they come in the box.
All right, so we're running short on time now, but I think we have one more game that you wanted to talk about today.
I'm going to switch with Kaz here.
Okay.
Because Kaz knows this game better than I do.
Kaz, what do we got here?
All right, well, here we have Istanbul Dice. So if you're familiar with Istanbul, it's a game about traders in Istanbul trying to get rubies to win the game. So this takes the same game, and instead of having a player board where you're moving around, moving your assistants, the only board you have is for where the rubies go and collect. So you'll see a lot of similarities. And instead of going and collecting resources like you do in Istanbul, you roll dice.
Some more dice chucking fun.
Right. So every turn you will roll 5 dice.
Like so?
Like so.
Oh, they're all over the place there. So what do we got?
All right. So these squares are actually cards. So they work similar to the bonus cards in Istanbul. They give you one-time abilities that are pretty powerful in the game. You only get 1, but the more you roll, the more looks you get.
Okay.
So with 2, you get to look at 2 cards and then play 1. Additionally, we have the money. That gains you lira for activating
Money.
For activating that that die. In addition to that, you also have the different resources. So blue, green, red, and yellow.
Okay, so these are just the different resources that are located on this die as well.
Correct.
Okay.
In addition to that, there are still mosque tiles, except they worked a little bit differently. These all have set prices on them, and they each give you a different ability. Usually a once per turn ability. Like these give you a bonus card at the beginning of every turn. This one gives you an extra resource every time you collect lira, which is pretty good. And my favorite one gives you... Oh, didn't come up, but it gives you an extra die. And you can gain up to 4 of those, so you could be rolling up to 9 dice.
Oh, wow.
Instead of just the 5. The game is pretty quick, and there is a 4-player side to the board, as well as a 2- and 3-player.
Okay, so 2 to 4 players, 4 players being the unique variant in this one there.
Correct.
Okay. So this is supposed to be like a slimmed-down version of standard Istanbul, more of like a cousin relation to it, or?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
It's a cousin relation, plays a lot quicker, and I believe quite a bit faster.
Oh, fantastic. So again, the same question again. Where can we find Istanbul Dice Game?
This should be in your local retailers in late May.
Late May. Okay. So all about in the same time frame for these 3 games, a little fairly similar. We should be seeing them all on the store shelves. So, gentlemen, is there anything else that you wanted to talk about today before I say goodbye to you for the afternoon?
I think we covered it.
I think that's good.
All
Check
right.
out Edge of Darkness on Kickstarter.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And check out our Spotlight of Edge of Darkness, you know.
Yeah.
Big shout out to AEG
Yep.
for that. So thank you all for watching at home. We really do appreciate it. And stay tuned for the rest of the live coverage coming to you today from GAMA here in Reno, Nevada. But for now, signing off, I am Matt. Gentlemen, names one more time.
Gaz.
John.
Thank you very much, and we'll see y'all later.